Kyle Tierman here. I'm in Cape Town.
I was the only journalist in northern Nigeria.
Not an adventure until you get lost in Tijuana.
If you get caught inside by a giant wave, you feel really alone.
I love the adventure of waking up and not knowing what will happen and that being my job.
All right, Soraya, Simi, I want to ask you first about getting engaged, because it sounds like we got engaged in the same place.
Yes. It was funny when I saw you at the Ventura event and I congratulated you for getting engaged. Like, thanks, I did it in Big Sur. And I was going to Big Sur like 4 days after that. And I had a really strong feeling
that you were going to get engaged.
Jordan was going to propose there. And I was like, interesting, we may have that in common too. But I didn't say that out loud.
So what was your engagement story? Because I feel like getting engaged is one of those things it's a different experience for women as opposed to men.
Sure, totally. Yeah. It was, I saw it coming because I knew he was going to do it before the end of the year. And I was like, it's either this trip to Big Sur that we've been planning for months because we've had both a very, very intense work year. And this was like alone time that we carved out to go be in the wilderness and like be ourselves again, or Christmas. But I knew he wouldn't like overtake Christmas and make it about him. So I was like, also dead giveaway. He said, bring a nice outfit. We're like backpacking in the woods. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so also, it's happening.
Just out of curiosity, what size is your ring finger?
Yeah, exactly. So he, but I found it charming, and I also think there is a lot of undue pressure for men to make it this big surprise and like unexpected thing, and I don't know that it needs to be. I was like enjoying seeing the breadcrumbs along the way. I thought that was really cute.
You're trying.
Totally. So then we hiked up. We did Cone Peak. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It was awesome. It was like totally a butt burner. A really good hike. Beautiful place. Thanksgiving, nobody's there. And then at the summit, he was like, hey, you were complaining about hip pain. Do you want some ibuprofen for that? Which weird warning there, because Bjorn is like very anti me taking ibuprofen in general. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just walk it off. And he's like, no, I think you should take ibuprofen right now because it'll act now and it'll help you on the way down. And
it's fast acting. It could last forever.
So he's like, it's in the first aid kit. So I go and get the first aid kit. I'm like, okay, I'll play the part. Yeah. Go and get the first aid kit, open it up. Ibuprofen's right there. I'm like, oh, found the ibuprofen. He's, no, that's the nighttime ibuprofen. It's in this other Anyway, it was like a dead giveaway, but still so cute. And what I didn't expect, what did surprise me, is he made the ring.
Ooh, that's super cool.
So he made it out of abalone and wood. And that was really cool. That was really special and really sweet. So I want to hear how you did it now.
I did it. We were hiking to Sykes Hot Springs.
Nice.
Well-known hot spring hike, about 8 miles in. And I had been... The big thing for me was not... I mean, I had planned the night after a huge party with all of her friends flying in at my brother's house.
Aww.
So it was less the engagement that was stressful, and it was more planning this huge party with people texting and being afraid that, someone was just going to send a text and be like, hey, cool, I'll see you at the engagement party. So it kind of felt like I was cheating for like 5 months beforehand. It was like phone down, like guys who cheat, phone down.
Right,
you don't, and it was an undue level of stress just to navigate all that, but had a ton of help from her sisters and friends. And then once it was all organized, we got, down to, it's a pretty big hike, and got there. Sun was going down, and there was no one else around, and so she I don't know if I told this story in the podcast, but hey, we're all friends here. She got naked and jumped in the river.
Aww.
It was like washing off the dirt from the hike, and I was like, okay, I think this is the moment. So I get naked.
That's my woman.
And I grab the ring and I like run in, and she's facing that way, and then she turns around like half waist deep, and I'm like on the rock, butt naked with the ring out. And
Nice.
there was, she had no idea. She had been very stressed out about work, so there was no anticipation, and because of that, it took her a few moments to get that I wasn't joking.
Oh.
So I'm just standing there naked for like what felt like a good minute before she says anything.
The Curb theme song starts to play.
Yeah. And then she said yes. And what I found to be, I don't know, it's kind of awkward sitting, like being on a knee. Taking a knee it's a weird position to stay in.
This is such
And
a good
when
image.
butt naked on cobblestone rocks in the depths of Big Sur. So whenever you see a proposal take place in movies, the music goes up, right? At that point. The music doesn't go up. You're just awkward. And in my case, naked.
Totally.
So then you're like, okay, cool. Like, and then you put the ring on, but it's like fucking awkward.
Yeah.
And then we walked back up, put the clothes back on, started a fire, put the tent up, and then it was like 3 hours of feeling like I was on MDMA.
Nice. Aw, that's really special. I will say it is really nice to get engaged offline. Personally, in the wilderness really was like chef's kiss for me, because I think it's really lovely to absorb the moment with your person and not feel an immediate obligation to share it with someone in the outside world. It felt really sacred, of a moment in time I wanted to stay in for as long as possible. I was really happy. So
100%.
recommend that to anyone.
Yep.
It really worked for me.
And even, I mean, we bastardized moments by looking at photos too quickly.
Totally.
After the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Because your memory of the moment then shifts to the perception of the camera.
100%. Yes.
And it's not as sweet. It's not as personal.
Totally.
And it was fun to then have the party after that, because then you can celebrate with the group a day later.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
I felt like we nailed it by not having it be a social experience right off the bat.
That's great. And she was genuinely surprised about the party.
Well, she's just been so stressed with work that she didn't even
notice.
want to go on the hike.
Aw.
At first, she was like, "I can't do this." Like we'd been planning it for
yeah.
like 3 months. I was like, "We're
We
going
have to
on this
go."
fucking hike."
That's really, really sweet. I'd say you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And here we are.
And you're engaged. We're engaged.
No, we're
Hell
engaged.
yeah, man.
We're engaged.
We started this year on a totally different note. I mean, not totally different, but we weren't engaged at the beginning.
Yeah, we did.
It's a big year.
A lot has happened for
Yeah.
both of us in this year. And I'm interested to hear about the kind of postpartum of after a project like yours is out, like the postpartum documentary.
Yeah, that's extremely well put. So Row of Life premiered in February. It's December, so it's been on a almost year-long film tour. It's done, I can't remember, something like 70 film festivals, something crazy. I think 40,000 people have come out to see it in person. I've been at many of those, but not all of them. And it's a major emotional lift. It's incredible. I knew I was only going to do it this much one time. Row of Life in particular was just so special to me. It was my first film. It took me 6 years to make. There were a lot of extenuating circumstances inside of it. And I just really embraced the moment of celebrating that really well. And I think that was important for me to feel that side of the experience. Now that we're in the throes, and we have been, of distribution limbo and all of the, I mean, I could talk about this the whole podcast, but like,
I mean, I think it's interesting.
Industry's in a weird place.
For people who, whether you're a writer, documentary, filmmaker, creator of any kind, the creation aspect of a project is so romanticized.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the distribution and getting it out to the world part is so it's almost like seen as a dirty word among artists.
Yeah, well,
right. But you need, if you want to do it professionally, you need to understand how to do that.
And I honestly feel like maybe the postpartum metaphor, it still needs to get out on a platform, right? And so the mission's not done until it's an accessible film for anyone to watch. So the gist of like the most boiled down version of this I can give is the market fundamentally shifted after the pandemic, but it was kind of already headed there anyway. The documentary market was at an all-time high at the time that I was making Row of Life. At the time that, spoiler alert, Angela passed away, I was getting some pretty incredible offers about the film, which, that's all dust now. But the market became very quickly and heavily oversaturated. The streaming platforms that were just basic supply and demand, that were shelling out a lot of money to buy these, swung a different direction and didn't think the value, just changed the value in the market. And that created an inflation bubble of so many projects then needing to find a home, but the offers being offensively low for what they were really worth. And so I've been a victim of this. Could name 24 colleagues that this has happened to, friends that have been working on their films for decades, where this is the case, where they were offered $20,000 to get it, like it's not okay in any way. And so we're in a weird time right now where until the market regulates again, which will it? Don't know. It's kind of fundamentally changing. A lot of people kind of just don't know what to do with their films. And it's like, I think like the worst curse is nobody sees your work. Right. You spent all this time making it and then nobody gets to see it. So I'm almost like, I'll even put it on YouTube if it just means people get to see it. But of course you want to like close your budget gap and pay people along the way. So we're in that process right now. I would say generally I'm optimistic, and a lot of that has to do with tenacity, a little bit of insanity, and I problem solve things really differently, I think, than most people do. And I'm constantly brainstorming really unique solutions, which I could go into, but like I said, that could be a whole podcast. So I know and trust Row of Life will find its audience very soon, like in the next few months, I'll say. But that whole journey of like, I've premiered my film and like, this is the best feeling in the whole world, to, oh fuck, I'm still on Zoom calls, like every week talking about the same thing. It's just not done yet. And it's just a grind. Like you really have to be willing and able to finish what you start all the way, honestly. And I think a lot of people just like run out of gas and can't do it. And actually this leans into something I wanted to ask you about with your book, because something that I think is different, but similar and different about our creative processes is when you're making a film, I have a team of 9 producers that I talk to weekly, and my editor who's like a lifelong collaborator. And, I've got my army around me. And if I feel completely brain dead one week or month and I'm just like, I can't get on any more calls, someone else can pick up that slack. But when you're writing a book, the isolation and individualism of that process is totally different. And I think that discipline is like a different story.
Right. It's like a team sport versus individual, where, I mean, a huge amount of habit continuation or just continuing to do what we do in life is peer pressure and or fear of disappointing others, right? If you want to get in shape, you find a workout buddy and you're like, cool, I'll be there at 7 a.m. Because then even if you don't feel like it, you know that you're going to disappoint someone. I think that also is what a lot of founders deal with, and why so many successful founders have co-founders. Because you don't need to be in it alone. And what makes a lot of founders go crazy is just feeling like they need to hold all of that in their head, and just to be able to have a team to help can be psychologically really helpful. The way that I stayed on track was to artificially set up a few of those levers. Like, my career could be reduced down to this single act of finding people who I'm afraid to disappoint and then telling them I'm going to do something by a certain date again and again. For the book, as an example, very early on, I reached out to Steve Hawk and his wife, Pam Higgins, who Steve was the former editor at Surfer Magazine. Pam is the former editor at LA Times. And I set up with Pam a Google spreadsheet where every month I would tell her, okay, this chapter is going to be done by this time, and I'm going to send it to you. She didn't even need to read it at the time, but I would just be like, okay, I'm going to send this to you at this time.
Yeah, that accountability.
Having a thought partner was super helpful because I was fucking scared of her. She's great and also a badass. So that was really helpful for me to stay on track and meet those various deadlines.
That's great. Like punching above your weight some helped you hold a higher standard. And I mean, like you weren't doing it alone. Like that's great. You were really finding someone to choreograph the process with.
Yeah,
that's great.
Totally. Yeah, I think that there's a huge amount to be said for rising to whatever occasion you put yourself in. And if you are around people who are better than you and putting yourself in those situations again and again, that's just going to become the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long was the writing process for you?
Well, I interviewed my dad. I interviewed my dad in COVID, and then that was the first little signal boost that people would be interested in the topic of interviewing their parents. And oftentimes with any project, whether it's an ad campaign or something, like you're just looking for signal boost. You're just looking for like, that's when I say that thing, or when that people perk up. It becomes that like, I've been interested in doing that. I mean, you're working on a doc right now where all of a sudden you say the thing and it leads to a conversation.
Right.
What you need to be afraid of is when people are like, you say the thing and they're like, oh,
The
cool.
blank stares. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah. You need to hit a nerve.
You need to hit a nerve.
Yeah.
So I felt that I had hit a nerve but didn't really know how it was going to take shape for a long time. And then it started as a how-to book. The first draft I wrote and the first few chapters that I sent to and a couple friends who are really great writers basically all had the same feedback, which was this is kind of like glib copywriting, like beep boppy, you can do this and that, and we want to hear more of your story. Like if you want to write a book about how to interview your parents, you need to show us what happened for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
through draft, it iterated into this much more personal story, which is kind of like, having a mom, losing her to conspiracy theories, and then using the interview process to reestablish a better relationship.
Yeah. I mean, your book is a memoir with some really good suggestions.
Yeah.
Is how it reads to me. And that's what made me love it so much, because so much of what you include in there, I didn't know any of that about your story. And it's the micro is the macro, and how much I related to your story unexpectedly of like we had, also another observation. I don't know if anyone's pointed this out for you, but you have a great thread in your book about your dad being an obsessive flea market. What would be a word for that? Connoisseur, right. He is on the perpetual treasure hunt of his life to find that little piece of something that's like he's going to be so excited about. And I can't remember exactly how you phrase it in the book, but you're like, this is an attribute of his that I never personally aligned with. You're not a very materialistic person. You seek experiences rather than things.
Spiritual materialism.
However, I think I was like, I wonder if Kyle has ever noticed that he actually kind of did the same thing with his life, with seeking. You're a very curious person, and I think you like the treasure hunt of information and stories in other people. And I feel like, because I've listened to maybe 40 of your podcasts now, like your methodology is really interesting to me, how you choose to interview. And I wonder how much of your dad's, whether it's genetic or observational or whatnot, like his searching, his meticulous, like, I'm going to comb through this over and over again until I find the thing that you actually absorb that maybe you didn't give enough credit to in there.
Damn. Yeah, you write a book and you're like, I don't know what this is about, but Soraya will. Yeah. Well, yeah. My dad is someone who he always put. Even with his things, I would say that it is in relation to an experience, right? He's not a hoarder because he wants to keep all the shit. He'll go to the flea market and buy 10 pairs of shoes because he wants to give them away to people. Like, there's a story in the book where, like, my mom, his ex-wife, had married my stepdad, and the first time my dad met my stepdad, my stepdad was moving into a new house. My dad said, "Do you need any furniture?" My stepdad said, "I'm actually looking for a couch." My dad said, he said, "What color?"
Yeah, I loved this story.
And my stepdad was like, "Well, my favorite color's purple. All of the guy ever wears is purple." And my dad went back to his garage and pulled out a purple couch.
Hilarious.
Nothing brings him more joy than
Yeah.
having the thing
Yeah.
for
The
the
slam
person.
dunk.
Yeah. So even in his quest for stuff, it is kind of situated within story. Like, he's not a traditional hoarder in the sense of the word. It is still very much an act of giving.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something so satisfying, I think, like a fundamental human behavior of, like, getting the puzzle piece to click. And that was a great anecdote to support that claim. I think that was really, really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
It means a lot, and it's I'm in a bit of the first part of that postpartum get your work out there phase, and I see how there's a couple ways to look at this, and one is, this is what happens to a lot of people where they will do a let's say it's an art show, let's say it's a documentary, let's say it's a book, work their ass off to get it out there. There's a huge push of just a flood of dopamine for that first week, those first couple weeks, where everyone's just like, whoom, this is and you're like, holy shit, like, am I a god? This is I mean not really, but you're like, wow, this feels so fucking good. This feels like everyone's really resonating with this. And then there's pretty quickly after that a dip, and then you need to start doing the hard yards of just what you're doing, which is a certain amount of disciplined work to keep pushing it out there in a sustainable way. And I see why so many people will give up on their projects 2 weeks after it comes out, because it's just no longer fun.
Totally.
The ideas are no longer new for you. Like, at this point, I'm sure, like, fucking last thing you want to talk about is rowing, right? I mean maybe not, but you're like, I've been thinking about this for a long time.
Totally. Yeah.
You're on to new ideas.
Right.
But if you want to do it professionally, there's just a certain amount of continuing to get that idea out in new and exciting ways. And one thing that I think has helped me just think through this is my work in advertising. Because if you're a founder and you come out with a product, the idea that you would come out with that product and only market it for 2 weeks before working on your next product is crazy.
Of course.
Right?
Yes.
If you start a company, marketing becomes a consistent push.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when it comes to
you're halfway there.
Writers, documentary filmmakers, all that stuff, it's sort of culturally accepted to just move on and stop talking about it.
I have two things to say to that. One, the first I want to revisit, which is, you and I had a shared experience of releasing our work to our immediate community in a really special way. And I want to talk to you about why that particular dopamine rush is so special to experience, especially with, like, the first book you write, the first film you make. But I think the latter, to your point, and this is maybe not like a super groundbreaking concept, but the process is the work. The high is the 0.01% of the experience. Just like people think filmmaking is red carpets and, flashing cameras and fancy dinners and things like that. That is one, maybe 2 days out of the year that I get to experience that. I'm in an edit bay, and I, all week I work 12-hour days every day today.
It's the only time you get to be outside is on
yes,
the red
exactly.
carpet.
I saw the light, and on the Waymo over here, I was like,
so you're also pale.
There's not a driver. Like, what year is this? Like, where the fuck am I? So yeah, it can be. I think like if you are just not obsessively in love with the process, and maybe I am. I love it. I love the process. And this is a little bit of a cringe comparison, but like Taylor Swift said something about this when she won her like 24th Grammy, where she was like, I just love every single thing about making music. I love the writing. I love being and I heard that and I was like, I completely relate. I love every single part of filmmaking. I am not the director that just wants to show up to production and do an interview. I love that. That's like one of my favorite parts. But I love teasing through the transcript and post. I love thinking through creative marketing ideas like all of it is really stimulating for me. And to echo the analogy of rowing, I mean, like that is Angela was a huge person I learned that from. Like it's the fucking work that you need to love. Like the million strokes that it's going to take to get across the ocean, you better enjoy that because that's what you're going to do the whole time. And then you're going to get there and people are going to spray champagne on you and that's going to be a 5-minute event, but you better be doing it for something a little more than that. Otherwise you just do not have the gas in the tank to keep going. And so that's the first thing I would say is like, invert it. The process is actually like the meat and the juice and the good stuff. But with that 1% moment of premiering it, so I did Row of Life in Santa Barbara, and we were caught in a weird joint where we got into the Santa Barbara Film Festival, and we were holding out to hear back from Sundance. So Sundance is in January. It's the biggest film festival in the country. It kind of kicks off the tone of the year in the market, in the industry, so it's a really significant festival. I know that we were a finalist, but we didn't make the top 10, so great. Like we did well compared to 4,000 other documentaries that submitted. But ultimately you're either in the top 10 or you're not. And so, okay, we didn't get into Sundance. We knew we were going to get into Santa Barbara. And then you're holding out for South by Southwest, which is kind of the next market in Austin in March. So it's Sundance in January, Santa Barbara in February, South by Southwest in March. So do we skip Santa Barbara and hold out for South by to keep our premiere status? Of course, every single person on my team advised me to do that. Sales agents, oh yeah, you have to preserve premiere status. That's so important. And I just wasn't persuaded. I think I was like, well, what's the sales record out of the, like, is it a 90% chance the film's going to sell if I premiere it there? Then yeah, of course, I'll hold on to it and not do that. But no one could like present the data to me that really built an argument I believed. It's just vibes. It's just perception, which is valuable. I don't know. I was like, you're asking me to sacrifice like a really profound moment in my life.
Because you live in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I live in Santa Barbara. That's my community. For what? For what ultimately? And clout, like, do I care that much? I do, but no regrets. So glad I chose to premiere in Santa Barbara. That was one of the most, I'll never forget that night, my whole life. Like 300 something people
all
in
booing.
The theater, all booing. Everyone was sobbing, like throwing tomatoes at me, walking out. But it was just so like overwhelming, that level of, I was like, oh, so this is what getting married feels like. Like everyone is in, I get that twice in my life. Totally. I get it at the premiere and at my wedding. Like everyone I love is in one room.
The way I thought about it doing the reading in Santa Cruz was it was like getting to attend my own funeral.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
You're like, wow, all these people are saying this nice shit about me and like they really like me.
You should have themed it that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you had you just had that last week, right? Or the week before. When was it? What day?
Yeah, it was like last week.
So I want to hear it because it's super fresh for you. I want to hear how that felt. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm very happy that you decided to do it in Santa Barbara, and the thing that's relevant here for anyone is that when you come out with a creative project, a lot of people might promise the world. You might have huge, grand ambitions that Joe Rogan's going to call you up and say, we need to do a podcast tomorrow, or, you know, the what you see on social media as successful launches are always the biggest people doing the biggest podcasts, or they're getting national media attention because they're already famous. And you need to play your game that you're playing at that time. And it's very easy, and it's a huge mistake for creatives to think that they're too big for their britches and discount the value of friends showing up, what your local community will do to get behind you. That is how you ultimately get your stuff out, right? And that's how, those are the people that are going to care about it. Those are the people going to show up for you. I had that experience 6 years ago doing the Motherfucker Awards. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
So Motherfucker Awards, we celebrated the corporations that fucked Mother Earth. Comedians played the corporations, a big Academy Awards style event. And, you know, we hired a PR team that promised the world. We did it in LA. You know, there up until the 11th hour, it was like, all these famous people are going to show. It's, you know, it's just people talking shit, making you want to feel good. Ultimately, what filled that 500-person theater were my friends from Santa Cruz who drove down.
Wow.
You know, everyone was dressed to the nines, like tuxedos, like going all out. Just the enthusiasm there. And people who listen to my podcast, people who listen to Chris Ryan's podcast, like it is the ones that actually care and are invested in you that allow you to do that work. And sure, if over time that expands, great. But, you know, we live in this moment now where someone could have 1 million Instagram followers and 900,000 of them are ghosts.
Exactly.
That like pressed follow a long time ago, but don't give a shit about you. And they're not going to actually show up and buy the book and support you when it really matters most. Right. So I'd had that experience before, and I knew to not try and, not try and get too big. Right.
Yeah.
So my whole media strategy for the last 4 months was local media, podcasters who I kind of knew, like surf podcasters, local newspapers in Santa Cruz. All of those people, I was like, hey, I called it Kyle's season of begging, because it was just calling people up who I had relationships with and were like, hey, can we all do a story that comes out this week?
Yeah.
And they did.
Amazing.
And by the end of it, you know, we had a dozen or so articles and podcasts that basically all came out on the same day.
Amazing.
And it felt like a thing, right? Which is ultimately what you want with a launch. You don't want it to like trickle out. You want it all to come out on the same week. I don't think I got one response from like national media or like big podcast. I mean, yeah, sure. I sent those emails. You want some water? You good?
I got it.
You good? She's dying. She's like, I can't handle this.
Ugh, Kyle, wrap it up.
This guy, fucking A, Jesus Christ. So long way of saying, your friends are who show up. Sending, you know, I sent text messages, individual text messages,
Totally.
to all my friends saying, hey, can you do this? I know it's emotional right now. You're crying. This is a big moment. It was very successful.
It's like you go on a podcast, you're like, please don't let me get something in my throat.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Please don't let me cry on camera as Kyle's
And
like,
on that night,
talking his heart out.
my mom was there. My dad was there. And yes, it very much was a culmination at the Santa Cruz event of
that's really
a
special.
lot of people who I love in my life showing up and to write about my family and to write about the place that I came from, honestly, and have that result in some pretty big laughs was exactly what I wanted.
Makes me so happy to hear that. I didn't know you had such a similar experience with the Motherfucker Awards. My perception of that when I heard of it was like, oh, this is like a cool kids only event. So I had no idea you had like your local tribe there. But I think art is really special in that regard. Like specifically the stories you told, which are your life stories, the people, the characters, the players, everything that contributed that for you to even be able to tell it. And the community that gave you all of the resources to grow. And of course, I just think there's like a more sacred exchange that like, I thank you for giving me all of these things so that I could create this. Like, here's the gift back. There's something really pure about that process that I think matters. I think it matters, like, for the next thing you work on and everything after that. It's just rooted in something really honest. That's how I feel about it.
Did you expect what you felt on the night of your premiere, or were there emotions that came up that you didn't I'll tell you this, I was super agitated the whole day before the Santa Cruz event. Like, a lot of what nerves how nerves result from me is I just turn into a little prick. And then I get there and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. But it's just
that's how your
a
anxiety
level
manifests.
of ambient agitation.
I was just talking to a friend about this morning because she was the very first person in line at the premiere. She waited out like 3 hours before it started.
She set up a tent.
Almost. Before. They brought a blanket and they did all that. And I was like, hey, by the way, Daphne, I never told you this, but seeing you first in line, like, that was amazing. You're so awesome to do that. And she's like, yeah, and I was the last person to get in the theater because I didn't know I was supposed to go pick up my tickets downtown or whatever it was. And she's like, so I got there, I waited longer than anyone, and I almost didn't know if I was going to get in. And I was like, holy shit, you should have told me. I would have walked you straight up. Like, but Santa Barbara Film Festival, as great as the experience I had, I was completely stressed out by how complex it was to get people tickets to the event. That was what was stressing me out up until the minute it started, where I was like, I don't know that there's enough seats in the theater. Everyone keeps texting me, where do I get a ticket? I can't manage all of this right now. So you're just so fixated on all that, the logistical drama of it. And then, you know, I sat down, I'd seen the film 300 million times before that, but it felt completely different to watch it for the first time with everyone. And lights go up and there's like real applause and I'm like, oh, but they have to do that. And
right.
And like, oh no, they're like all fucking crying, like, yes. And I go up.
They all got something in their throat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, I got the toughest nuts to crack in that audience. And it was completely overwhelming. I mean, my acupuncturist that I met the first year I moved to Santa Barbara was there, and because she knew how much drama there was, and that made me really emotional. That's when I almost started to cry when I was watching people line up, because I'm like, wait, she came out? Like, she knows how important this is for me? And it was really overwhelming to see people express that in their action. And anyway, all 330 whatever people who were there that night, I'll remember that for the rest of my life, every single one of you. It meant so much to me.
Yeah. It's... you're putting your soul out there, you know, and you don't get to do that all the time. And it's the feeling, I suppose, of trying. I'll just speak personally. Like, I have a hard time being proud of myself and truly absorbing a moment before. Like, I've had this consistent thought with my book since it's been out. Yeah, but the next one's going to be a failure. Like, immediately, I'm like, oh God. But the next one, and then I'm like, I need to constantly rein it back and be like, no, actually, just enjoy this process right now.
Good.
And soaking it up a bit is a very good practice for me. Yeah. And I do think I've gotten better at it than I was in the past. Like in the past, it was a horrible affliction. It was like compliments were Teflon.
Yeah, the
for
guilt you feel around like I don't deserve this. How much has Kendall impacted that? Having a life partner.
Who?
This lovely woman I met downstairs when I got here.
Oh yeah, I mean it's when you have I remember hearing Bill Burr once say, I run all my jokes past my wife. Like, and she's the one who's gonna be like, nah, it's not that funny. Yeah, it's good. You know, and you know, you need to be careful sometimes to make sure the work doesn't get in the way of the relationship. But on another level, if you can share the deepest parts of yourself, the parts that you're really excited to share with the world with your partner first, and you trust their sensibilities, that's magic. You know, like I think it would be really hard for me to be with someone who I didn't trust their taste.
Exactly.
It would be like, wait, I don't respect your taste. You don't respect my taste. This is pretty like we don't think the same shit's funny.
Totally.
Jesus,
That's
like,
a lot of dissonance.
That's a lot of dissonance. So I was able to work with Kendall throughout the process of writing the book. And at times I could, hey, will you read this? Hey, can I talk this through with you? And I, for the most part, I do trust her, you know, if she's like, that joke doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is good. Yeah. It's important to have a partner that you can trust. Totally. So yeah, I would also just say that, I became a way better both a reader and a writer through the process of doing this book.
Great.
Right. I had done journalism for a while, but my fiance is one of the most literate people I've ever met. That's she vaporizes text.
Hell yeah.
Like she'll read.
That's what you need.
Yeah. I mean, she'll read a book in a day.
That's great.
And boom, on to the next one. Great. Like has such advanced story sensibilities. Yeah. Like, oh, this is why this book works. This is why this book doesn't work, because she's read thousands of them.
Totally.
So yeah, throughout the 3-year period of actually writing the book, I think she helped improve my taste.
Great.
Quite a bit. Like one of my favorite books that I read this year was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Sorry. It's all good. You're good. It's emotional. It's a deep relationship. It's powerful. You can take a break. And yeah, I mean, what you're constantly steeping yourself in from a creative standpoint will impact your level of work, right? If you're constantly watching great documentaries, that's going to help you get better as a documentary filmmaker. Totally. And so throughout the process of writing, I gained better taste in what good writing is, who I enjoy reading, and was pretty disciplined and even maniacal about copying or doing my best to copy.
I think that's
that
a great exercise.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. If I see a paragraph in a book I really admire, oh, sorry, like...
You all right? Take a breather.
I don't know what...
Take a break.
Of course, like, let me just give this context as a guest coming on a podcast. Like, all morning I was like peeing over and over again because I was like, I don't want to have to pee when I get there. You like fixate on these little, I don't want to be an inconvenience. And then I should have had a cough drop.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you.
They're very nice people that listen to this podcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, it's just funny where you're like, of course, there's always something. So what were we just talking about? We were talking about how the type of work you ingest.
The type of work you ingest, yeah, and how you improve your taste.
Yeah. So, okay. The reason I asked about Kendall is because I've noticed in my life with Bjorn, this like overall upgrade on everything of having the person who I have I now trust the most with absolutely anything. Exactly like you said, like he's probably the first person that hears any idea I have, or I can vet, a scene, or I was about to say, I think copying what you admire is a really, really, really good way to get better. I do this often where I'll read a book and a sentence is just written so beautifully, or a paragraph. I'm like, damn, that was really good. I will handwrite it out just to feel what it's like to write something that reads that. I mean, it's like hitting a gorgeous note on a piano. There's something that just lands really nicely about good writing. And this is an exercise I teach my students to do. I started teaching film production this year.
Amazing.
That was another
Let's talk
new
about
thing.
that.
But also learn to do as a student, where if you see a scene that you really like break it down, try to cut it yourself, emulate it. I would say all of art is derivative. And if you can just learn the, carpentry of it and like how to smooth an edge and whatnot by just emulating someone who already did it well, you will learn that skill. It's okay. Like it's the process, right? Falling in love with the process. I cannot recommend that enough for anyone interested in any creative act. Just go copy things that you admire and like try to figure out why it is that it works.
And then say they're yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just put your name on it.
Just plagiarize.
Yeah.
I'm of the belief that we sort of are our habits.
Totally.
Our personalities are
Yeah.
so malleable based on habits. Like you can take practically anyone and shift them substantially if you get them to do a certain set of things in a certain order again and again for a couple years. They'll be a different person.
Yep.
What are the a big question that I've been asked like a lot on the book tour is like, well, what are your habits? What are your writing habits? How do you actually do this? And the word that I keep coming back to is exclusion. Like it's not about what I do, it's about the exclusion of the infinite distraction between you and that creative act. And I'm very athletic about it. I will lock my phone in a cookie jar and I'll set a 3-hour timer. I'll turn my internet off and just work from a regular document, or I'll just write by hand.
Yep.
And exclude those distractions. And then by the end of it, it's a game of improv. Like you don't know what's going to happen before you start doing it. But if you spend those 2 hours or that 1 hour just sitting there, something will happen.
Exactly.
And then you do that again and again.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is a really shitty first draft.
Right.
But it's here now.
You start
Like,
somewhere.
it's a lump of clay. I'm impressed with your tenacity and productivity.
Thank you.
What do you do to not just be totally distracted and have all this stuff be shoulda, coulda, woulda?
I have learned the power of saying no, especially this year. I
And
just
meth. Doing meth.
Yes,
a
and
lot.
meth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. Way to cut me off there. I was getting to that.
Sorry. That was your punchline, not mine.
I just read a Warren Buffett quote like 2 days ago that the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. And a year ago, or maybe not a little bit further, I would have been like, that's so condescending, of a quote. But now I'm like, that is 100% true. I have become pretty ruthless about saying no to things that actually hinder my ability to say yes to the ones I want. 2 words I tend to always come back to in terms of really committing to a creative process is silence and sobriety. I think that I can pretty much do anything if I'm in both of those states at the same time. I have gone to great lengths to find that. That's why winter has actually become my favorite season. I find it a lot easier to find silence. And yes, meth, but sobriety.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
was
like,
gonna say Metallica and meth are the two words that I've consistently
Yeah.
come back to.
yeah. I think it's
to do my best work.
Yeah, it's a state of mind of like, I don't want to be influenced by anything else except what's already here, because there's enough in here. And then you start to open up the channels to receive what's going on. And again, wherever you are on the spiritual spectrum, like I really think that's like a divine moment when that happens. So my creative process, another thing I did this year that actually really transformed my year is I hired an assistant, and love that guy, Micah. And it really, 10 hours a week, I have him do a lot of the busy work that was really clouding my ability to focus on, can you go through the emails? Can you do this? Can you put the grades in? Can you blah, 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 blah. Like all of the grunt work that's, again, maybe this is a little antithetical to my preaching about the process, but they're just, life adds up. Like cumulatively, all of those little tasks actually take away many, 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 many hours of high level creative time. And I want to live in that. And so this pretty like reasonable investment in my year fundamentally altered my year. I have been able to do more pitches than I ever have on new ideas. I feel like this was a new idea, crazy year. I got Row of Life like off of my chest, and then now it's been the next story after the next story after the next thing that I want to make. And I have time to sit down and do those pitch decks. I have time to set up those calls. I don't do coffee meetings anymore. That's something else I stopped. Very rarely I'll say yes to them, but I have found those to be like a 2 to 3 hour hole in the day that's actually really hard for me to come back from.
Totally.
It's just tricky. I don't like,
totally.
I'm like a morning person with work. Yeah.
When people say, do you want to have coffee with me? I'm like, great,
Yeah.
you just ruined my day.
Yeah.
You took...
I'm glad I did that for you this morning. So
Yeah.
thanks for the coffee, by the way.
You're welcome. Enjoy the coffee. Fucking eviscerated my productivity. Well, so I've found that the level of instant gratification I get in the morning
Yeah.
makes it infinitely harder to do the deep work later. This is why checking Instagram in the morning is so destructive for creative people, is because you get this hit of instant gratification, and then you're forced to stare at a blank piece of paper for 3 hours.
Exactly.
And your brain is just like, no. Like the food is over there. Right. It's dopamine. It's like, oh yeah, we got the food. This is why Snickers is huge, right? It's just like food.
Yeah.
Our brains are so prehistoric and dumb.
Yeah.
And we make arguments for the high sugar, high fat, instant gratification.
Yeah.
Because 10,000 years ago, that shit was hard to come by.
Yeah.
But for me, I find that the way I set up my morning really determines the rest of the day, and it's super hard to get back into that flow if you're doing the coffee in the morning.
Totally. I can't anymore, and I think doing the hardest part of your day, the first part of the day, is a really good life hack. I say this being very hypocritical right now. I've been a bit out of my streak of like, I'm gonna meditate first thing in the morning or that kind of, I need like very much a priority for me to get back into that. And you feel the difference when you're out of that routine. Routine is like vital to me. I really don't do well when I fall off my routine.
We're the same person. I will. What's the line? I forget who said it, but it's like, I keep my desk clutter free, or I keep my desk organized so I can keep my mind wild and free.
Yeah.
So when you're on it, what does a morning look like for you?
I wake up now closer to 5 because my partner wakes up at 5 every single day. I would rather 5:30 to 6 is a little more reasonable to me. So somewhere in there, I'm up. 20-minute meditation right away. Hot pot of tea. I don't go for like crazy caffeine right in the morning. Then I write. I either journal or I'm trying to write at least 500 words every single day. I've been working on a novel for a long time. Winter is a really good season for me to get back in the flow. I love the feeling like the morning is like a secret you get away with. In the summer, when it's already hot and sun is high, it feels like, oh, I already missed something. You know, even if you're waking up at 6 or 7, it feels like you just like missed something. So something about pre-dawn ritual like kicks me off on a really good note. Then I hit my email inbox pretty much right away. I try to like zero it out. This is a 4-hour work week hack. Like only check it 3 times a day at the highest productivity times. And zero it out. I try to do like the hardest part of my day first, or like the thing I'm dreading or whatever it is. I just like, let's just get that away. So everything is a downhill slope. I try to, if I have to be on calls, which I mostly hate, I try to collect those all between like 10 and 12. So I created like a really concrete 2-hour window. And if someone can't make it work, with few exceptions, I'll roll it over the next day. But I really try to keep like the afternoon open, because by the time it's like 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm done. I'm mentally exhausted from being up since 5. So yeah, and then it kind of just feels like a really nice off ramp for the rest of the day, where my afternoon is for some exercise or outdoor time, which is really easy to get in Santa Barbara. And then I like to be home. Cozied up, downloading the day with my guy, laughing, watching The Sopranos. Like I want the recess hour. Is like, I feel completely guilt-free and really at rest when I get to do that.
Do you get depressed? What's your
Sure.
general like mood tempo?
I think overall I stay pretty consistently busy, and something about the busyness helps me dissociate from emotions that I don't really want to feel in a moment. Of course I get depressed. I think everybody does. I think the times in my life where depression has manifested, it have been pretty like intense seasons in my life, where I was like really in a lugubrious, like low streak, but very creatively prolific.
Oh yeah.
Friggin' double-edged sword there. And that's like when I was living in Nazaré, you know, or like I'll do something that's like a little bit, that actually helps me kind of relate to the depression in a more interesting way, where I like deliberately try to change my context a little bit. So there's something experimental about that season of emotions. I think grief and depression can be like a low hum at all times that you can turn, well, for me, I really should not make this statement for everyone, but for me, it's like, if I want to drop in and tune into it and like be in that melancholy, which something is kind of like perversely satisfying about it sometimes. I really like am watching my words here, because I know depression is a very different beast for a lot of people, including very dear people in my life who like deal with it on a really serious level. But I have actually been in a state of like mostly dissociation this year by sheer busyness. And I was just talking to a friend this morning about how like I can feel it starting to like ooze out in the wrong moments. And I'm like, oh, that's telling me it's time to like really confront this in a meaningful way, because I do think unchecked emotional debris or whatever's going on tends to manifest in difficult, for me, it's insomnia. I'll get really bad insomnia, but I think if you're not listening to what the signals are saying, it's going to start to activate a different emergency system. How about for you?
Yeah, I would challenge the word dissociate, because on a certain level, you're figuring out what works for you. I similarly do better when I'm busy. And the times that depression has hit me hardest is when I feel bored and like life is passing me by, and like I'm not connected and plugged in and creating. You know, writing is, it's a solitary act of writing, but what most people miss about the whole thing is that reporting is also a big part of it, right? So you said like, oh, well, writing, it's this like you're alone in it, but like I'm also picking up the fucking phone.
Sure.
I'm in that book. There's a lot of people in it who I had long conversations with. It's still for me a social experience, but I think that you and I have very similar tempos in that like we like being out and boom, boom, boom. And then we're like, oh, but we're actually introverted and I'm exhausted now and I want to come back and create more. But we can move between those two worlds. And for me, I find that being busy doesn't dissociate me from my depression. It kind of cures it.
Sure. Yeah. You're
I-
building a different pathway in your brain, and you're like, this is the routine, and we got to do it anyway.
Yeah,
Yep.
and also busyness doesn't mean context shifting.
Sure.
Sometimes if I have meetings all day long, that sucks. That just makes me feel anxious and like I haven't tapped into any of that deep work.
Yeah.
But my best days are wake up, exercise, and I've found that to be a really great hack because a lot of my sadness and melancholy and depression manifests when I don't move my body in the morning.
Absolutely.
Don't move my like. You want to see Kyle sad? Sit him down and feed him a big breakfast first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
without moving. I'm just like, oh God, it's all over. Fuck. 3 eggs later, I'm like, humanity has no hope. So a lot of what I found about myself is that I need to move my body first thing in the morning, even if it's for 20 minutes, even if it's just like a quick jump rope. I got a rower in my garage.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Row of life.
Hell yeah, dog.
Just rowing.
I'll bring you a hat.
I'll wear it while I'm rowing. But yeah, it doesn't need to be a big thing, but moving my body puts me in a higher gear for the rest of the day. Drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then I will get into the work and do the work for 2-3 hours.
Great.
Get up, move around, come back, and then whatever I do after that is okay. Now I'm working with clients, I'm on meetings, but that sets me up for a successful day. And when I get off of that routine, I spiral.
I wholeheartedly agree with all of this. I think also like 2 to 3 honest hours of output are more productive than a whole 8-hour day. Like it's just however you get the work done. My editor is a psycho fast. He processes things 2,000 times faster than anyone I know. And that's like why I love to work with him, especially on first passes of films, because he's never heard of endometriosis before, and I'll tell him what it is, and I'll give him the larger story beats of like, okay, so in this film we're trying to do X, Y, and Z, and he gets it so fast. He understands societal like there's just like a lot less bringing him up to speed. That's really great, and he can cut anything in 1/6 of the time that it takes a normal editor to. I still pay him a full day.
Sure.
I mean, that doesn't mean he's cheaper. It means he's just really fucking good at getting it out sooner. And that's great. Like whatever your process is that gets the work to me when I need it, we're good.
Yeah. We live in a very outdated society when it comes to understanding how the creative act happens. Bob Dylan famously never took more than 10 minutes to write a song.
Wow. Yeah.
Elizabeth Gilbert, I just went to one of her events.
Nice.
45 minutes, she says. 45 minutes a day. You set a timer.
Good.
You do 45 minutes of hard writing. Don't worry about whether or not it's good. You can get 1,500 words out.
I've done that, many times.
And that's a professional level. If you're getting 1,000 words out a day, that's you're gangster.
Yep.
But you get into trouble with performative busyness when you just need to show others that you're always doing something, but you're not really doing something. A lot of company cultures have this thing where we always need to be available online.
This is why Slack needs to get eviscerated off the planet. It's the worst thing ever.
Right. It destroys creative work. And you should be able to and I think that everyone should just learn to use their ebbs and flows as best they can. And I want to segue into the female experience of this. I don't know how much you can talk about your new documentary.
Sure, of course. Yeah,
I want to hear more about that, but then also the female experience of creating and the female experience of just understanding your own ebbs and flows, because it's very different for males and females, and it's something that we all kind of need to figure out for ourselves.
Yeah, well, men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Women have a 28-day hormonal cycle. So that's really different. And I think it's so individual from that statement onward. I think anything can happen from there. But if women's, I have learned to cater to my hormonal cycles better when it comes to really pushing myself in sprints for work, exercise, etc., knowing that my body is going to respond to it better overall. I have a less likely chance of my immune system collapsing. I'm probably going to retain muscle better if I weightlift that week. Like, knowing those little tiny bits of biohacking is awesome and so good. So I really encourage anyone to explore that in their own body, man or woman, just what it is that's helping you thrive. As far as creative process goes, I mean, I think this is where we both seem to be morning people, where that alertness, is really on. I don't know if that's related to hormones or that's just how we are as people, to whatever extent there's a genetic influence there or, cultural or anything. My editor is a nighttime guy, and last night at 9:30 I was watching Eddie Murphy stand up while he's cutting away because he's having his peak right then, and he's asking me questions, and I'm like, dude, I'm out. I'm not available right now creatively to contribute. But so it's whatever works. As far as women, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear a lot more opinions on this than mine. The documentary I'm now working on, that Row of Life, went on a big film tour. I got recommended through the grapevine of feature film documentary directors to be tapped for this project on endometriosis, which was a really cool opportunity for me because I'm used to creating my projects from the ground up, an original concept, producing it just from the get-go. And this was one where the scaffolding was already built and they needed a director for hire. And I get on a call with a lovely father and daughter, David and Simi. And Simi is a 22-year-old she dropped out of Chapman Film School because she has such severe endometriosis.
What is this?
Endometriosis is a disease.
This one's for the fellows.
Yes, for the fellows. Endometriosis is a disease where the uterine lining of a woman's uterus, the part that sheds when they have their period, if a baby is not in there, starts to ectopically grow, meaning outside of the uterus. And a lot of things can come as a result, but it essentially wreaks havoc in their reproductive system and is the leading cause for infertility. It also leads to horribly painful periods for most women. The societal and economic cost of this is pretty impossible to overstate because the loss of productivity, of girls missing school, of days that you can't come to work, things like that. We really have to take a beat to think about that, because it's December 2025, but what would this world look like if 1 in 7 women have this disease? That is a pretty accurate guess. I would almost wonder if it's more, how prolific this is. But 265 million women worldwide having a week of their month unavailable to them. So one of our characters in the documentary estimated that she has lost 6 years of her life because of this disease, not being able to attend events, not being able to grind in her incredible professional career. She's a super successful actress on Broadway and musician now, but 6 years, I mean, think what you do in 6 years. So if we just pause for a second and as a humanity wonder about what we have lost, what the cost has been to society, that's profound. And it is a global responsibility to handle this, because what would the state of our planet be if we had everyone on the same bus, you know, taking care of problems and had the like physical ability to do it. So it's been a really interesting experience to work on this project. Sami is the co-director. She's an amazing young woman, and this is her first film, so it's actually really sweet to have just finished my first film and kind of be mentoring her in this process. And I don't have endometriosis that I know about. The other interesting thing is you can only get diagnosed with surgery.
Wow.
So a lot of people live with it and then don't know they have it until usually when they start running into fertility issues. And then they start to explain symptoms that tend to line up with, I've had really chronic pain with periods, or I've had a lot of cysts, or like, you know, oh, well, this is kind of pointing toward you may have endometriosis, but we really can only know for certain if we look under the hood, meaning make an incision and open you up and look in your uterus to see if this tissue has grown. Sometimes what happens, as has happened to many of the characters in our film, they do this at age 36, 37, 38, where at that point they've had a period since they were 13 years old. This is like estrogen and hormones and protein communications going haywire every month, building this tissue as the body's way to compensate for, it's trying to solve a problem. Like it, of course, it thinks it's helping, but it's doing the wrong thing. And that's however many hundreds, thousands of periods later where they get 36, 37, 38, and that tissue has then spread to other organs in the body, including lungs, including bowel. There's a crazy story of someone who like couldn't poop for 2 months because the tissue had grown over her bowel. I mean, it's like so fucking gnarly. Like this is an invisible exorcism inside of people. And then they realize like, oh my God. And then they have to get this burned off, ablation. They got to get taken out. It's a very complex surgery that not a lot of people are trained to do. So all this to say, it's like a crazy issue that, you know, the fact that I didn't really know about it until June, the fact that every woman I talked to is like, oh yeah, endo. And every guy I talked to is like, what is that again? But in June when they told me, I knew what it was, but it wasn't like pertinent in mind. My mom had it, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's that thing that my mom talked about that I got away with not having. I think, you know, if I start having fertility issues and I go in and then they cut me open, they're like, oh wait, you did have it. A lot of people can be asymptomatic and not know. That's crazy. I mean, think if men had something to that equivalency, right? Of like, I can't even think of an example,
Right.
but like, it would be a very, very different conversation.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what causes it?
So what they think, because they don't know for sure, and I've been very privileged to now interview like the top researchers and scientists in the world basically about this. And what I understand in my humble, you know, scientific vernacular here is there is a misfiring of protein communication when estrogen and progesterone in our 28-day cycle happens, that something is going haywire in that communication system from the brain to the hormonal system, and it's producing this tissue in the wrong place as a result. That is as rudimentary as I can say. It's far more complex than that, and the real answer is we don't really know.
Yeah, it's wild and hilarious and horrific how afraid we are to talk about vaginas and about female bodies, and how like just baseline cultural fear there is around like, like don't understand this thing, that leads to a total lack of awareness and education
And devaluation.
and it just, the whole thing is wrapped up in our obsession with fear of sex and females generally. It's such a it's like
and like female power. I think it's rooted in like a deeper like, oh, but if we heal this sickness that feels gross to begin with, then maybe they'll outsmart us. Or like, I really think there's just this like very abstract and absurd paranoia rooted in here that I think men, when they are then confronted. Of course, this is subconscious and it's deep. It's like it's like a sickness and something much deeper. But men who want to be a dad, and then their like 37-year-old wife like can't get and it's like fuck what or a dad like sees their daughter not able to go to school, as in the case of Sammy, with a dream and like real potential, and she can't attend classes anymore. She's in too much pain. Like how heartbreaking that is, and how our social responsibility to each other is to give a shit and like care, and we can do it. Like we've solved a lot of much harder problems. This one I'm not worried about us solving. We just need to get on board.
Well, I was just telling you, Kendall was telling you about the woman Eliza Vida who wrote In the Flow, and I, up until she forced me to listen to this podcast, didn't know about the follicular phase and the luteal phase, and how a big reason for PMS is due to a lack of calories during that time of month. Like, if you're dealing with PMS and you're the guy also dealing with that, because everyone in the house deals with it, like, it behooves all of us to understand our systems with more literacy. And I just, it's... I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Last night I was out at dinner, and the conversation came to Mark Zuckerberg and how Facebook was originally a... you know the story? It was originally like a hot or not for Harvard girls that he created. Because he got rejected. Yeah. I fucking hate Mark Zuckerberg. I cannot stand that dude. I cannot stand that he wants to be a surfer and wants our community to accept him.
He's a foil boy.
He's fucking foil boy. Do you know what I learned? Okay, how's this? Someone at dinner used to work at Meta.
Okay.
They constructed a statue of him on the foil with the American flag at Meta that you could then like stand with and get a photo.
Yep.
That's all you need to say about him.
That costs a lot of money, I bet.
This is going to get back to your documentary. A lot of guys were rejected by women early, and it has led to a seething, lifelong misogyny and a deep hatred of women, of understanding them, and of giving a shit about this this massive cohort of humans, right? Because there's and it leads to all kinds of issues with, you know, founders just having this insatiable appetite for more, for for not having enough. Like, I think that a huge amount of the like okay, I'm successful enough. Now it's time to give shit away, which is what a healthy human psychology does, right? As soon as you have more than you need, the natural thing is to give away. But I mean, there's a certain amount of people who have just missed that ethical milestone.
Typically men. Yeah, typically men. And I know a number of guys who were rejected early. High school, like high school girlfriend got dumped, didn't know how to deal with that rejection and that grief, and it has colored their ethical software for the rest of their lives. Yeah, well put. I think sex and power are in a lockstep with each other. I think women, you know, boys love their moms. We all love our moms, but there's mom is boss. Like, there's like a power dynamic that's sort of hardwired early on. I think girls are the first to start puberty, and there's something about the social manipulation that comes with that, and that they have all the power in high school and college, and like they could break a boy's heart. Like, there is very much the cards are stacked in their favor. And then something shifts in the 30s that has to do with biological clocks. You know, time feels like it's running out. I got to get pregnant, whatever. But for a guy, it doesn't matter. I think it has to do with capitalism and how our society is built to reward and award men more. And so that power dynamic shifts, and there is like this backlash of punishment.
Yeah, go. You fucking
you
wouldn't
hurt my
wouldn't
feelings.
talk to me.
Yeah,
when I was in college. I mean, the power of a hot 23-year-old girl is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a level of fame.
Yeah,
like it's like being famous.
Yeah.
If you think about what happens when you're famous, everyone looks at you.
Yeah.
Everyone
you get stuff for free.
You get stuff for free. Everyone wants something from you. You're the center of attention. That just happens to certain girls.
It's just easy.
Where all of a sudden it's just like, holy shit, everyone wants this from me. And it informs a lot of their personalities.
Totally.
To
it's a state of entitlement they hold on to, and then they're 35. They're like, why isn't everyone treating me like this anymore?
Right. And here's a multi-billion-dollar industry that will sell you youth as this thing is receding away from you.
Right. Yeah, so that's a bit of a conundrum, and I don't know how we solve for it. I just think it's important to like point at what the problem is, or what I think like the source of this sits at, and I think that's a lot of deep work that we should embark on together for women to understand this vulnerability in men early on, and that when that power dynamic could be one way, and then the other opportunity, like how do we leave the door open for women to like step up and meet us, and I hope, I'm optimistic. I hope we are. I think generally the trend of humanity has been progression, and I think we will see a lot. I'm very curious to see how AI accelerates or deviates from it. But I think in total I'm an optimist, and I'm curious to see what happens next.
Yeah, I do you have siblings?
I have a twin brother.
Which
is almost like the perfect built-in science experiment to go through life.
Right.
Because we have the exact nature and nurture.
That's so
interesting. Same
genetics,
same upbringing, and how differently our lives shake out as a result of our gender in many ways. And also like we are different people, but I could make a compelling argument for either side of that. Like ways that I've benefited from being a woman, and ways that Tristan has gotten favoritism or certain perks from being a guy, or like, I got in trouble a lot more often, and he was the dude. Boys will be boys, right? Like, so it's interesting. There was like a hardwired example for me to like track that my whole life.
I'm the youngest of 5, 2 big sisters, and I credit a lot of what I first learned about women from hanging around my big sister and her friends. They were all surfers, and they would like hang in her room, and I would like be the little 11-year-old kid who would just sit in the corner. And something really weird happens when you're the only one of your gender in a room full of the opposite, where they forget that you're there. And they don't talk like a group of guys is in the room.
Right.
Same thing being a woman, right? If you're around like 5 dudes,
always.
You're the only one there.
Yeah.
They talk like guys.
Totally.
Right? But then the second you get a second
woman
in there,
yeah.
like, and you see this at parties,
it's a great
right? It's like
observation,
a group of 5 dudes, like all like talking like guys talk. And then you see like 2 girls will show up, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoomp.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was this baby sea otter, and the oil was all over it, and I was just trying to be like,
right.
But
or they wrap it up,
or they wrap
just like,
it. Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
I don't know how to handle this.
But I mean, I there's an incredible value that I found in having female friends outside of the relationship too, because we just relate to life differently. We see life in totally different ways, and it's hard. I think you need to actively continue to seek those alternate perspectives in order to maintain empathy. And it can, I remember going through a breakup a number of years ago and feeling that pain for like a year. And thinking, I see how misogyny happens. Like, I grew up with a very strong mom, big sisters. Like, it was just not part of my makeup in like the family upbringing. And even still, I remember going through the breakup and thinking like, oh, I see how guys can just be like, fuck women. Like, nope, that hurt me so deeply.
Yeah.
It's like the Louis C.K. quote, like, guys are afraid women will laugh at them. Women are afraid guys will kill them. It's just to feel rejected, right? Yeah. And it takes a lot of that kind of internal work and grappling with it. And, to your point, I do think that we're heading in the right direction. I think that one of the great gifts of podcasting is to be able to sit in on conversations that you otherwise wouldn't have access to.
Absolutely.
Right? Like people who are listening to this, they're in the room with us, they're hanging, they might not have access to that.
Right.
And it can create a more cosmopolitan and open-minded society. And then specifically with the kind of human optimization movement, right? There's a lot of weird shit in that arena if you become too obsessed with your health, but just basic literacy around your health that our generation has that our parents did not is tremendous. Like, our parents don't know about REM sleep. They don't know about morning routines.
In your,
like gratitude journals. What? I mean, the importance of weightlifting, right? You mentioned weightlifting.
Yeah.
10 years ago, even, weightlifting was seen as broy meathead stuff.
Yeah.
Not like the way you keep your skeletal structure intact
for your
long
70s,
term.
80s, 90s. Yeah, exactly.
So I agree. I think we are hopefully heading in the right direction, and I appreciate that you're an optimist.
Yeah, I just think progress is incremental and not necessarily leaps and bounds. And I think it's sometimes it's one step forward, two steps back. Sometimes we have an administration that's just insane, that, of a reflection of where we are. But I think there is a reason for it. And I think like that confrontation with what's uncomfortable or not necessarily feeling like an authentic fit is a really good wake-up call to then get back on track. Okay, well, what is it? Where is true north? And that's just, again, like that's the human condition. That's the experience of life. A film I would recommend for anyone is Train Dreams. It's on Netflix, but I just thought it was a really, really, really special.
What's it about?
It's about a man who is a logger in Idaho wilderness in the turn of the century, like 1890s, so pre-industrial revolution, and things that happen in his life. And it's like you track the journey of his life, basically, and it is just really profound, really simple. I tend to like simplicity in storytelling. There's a phrase that we use a lot, complex characters, simple story.
That's great.
And this is a great example of that. But I guess like, it just feels really good to sit with art that is so poignant and universal, but so specific. I think your book's an example of this.
Keep it coming.
And I'm going to just love fest the shit out of it. If you have not read... one more question before you go.
One last question before Jesus Christ. She hasn't even read the book.
Misquote. It's so good. You did such a good job. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I really mean it. It's very, very, very special. It's warm where it needs to be warm. It's vulnerable where it needs to be vulnerable. It's a good it's efficient to read. Like, I think the length was just right for it. You knocked it out of the park. I can't wait to see what happens with this book. I mean, I already feel like it's a success because you made it.
Yeah, it's. I appreciate that. I respect you as a storyteller. I feel like you go to great lengths to not placate your audience.
Oh, thank you.
Which is fucking rad.
Awesome.
Like when I watched Row of Life, I was like, oh, you could have easily made this so woke. But you didn't.
Yeah.
And
I'm allergic to woke.
Right. Well, it's just being woke is by and large performative.
Right.
It's people
virtue signaling
to others that I believe this certain set of things,
and I'm a better good than person you because of it. Yeah.
Right. And you managed to make a documentary about a lesbian rower, veteran, and still find a lot of complexity and just truth to who that character is that makes the story endure past 2018 to 2020, right? And I think that when you're shooting too hard for, oh well, this group of people is gonna just love it, and I'm gonna speak exactly to them, you're no longer asking yourself the question like, well, what do I really think about this? And my editor once said, you need to show every character's wicked gleam.
I love that.
And if you're just writing, I haven't seen the doc, but like if you're just writing the logger as the way you expect a logger to be from a caricature standpoint, you're not doing your job. And if you're just writing the humanitarian from the perspective of them being only a good person and not showing that like those people are also selfish and petty and arrogant, you're not doing your job. Like that's, I think, what allows us to care and continue to stay engaged in a story.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Is not knowing what that character is going to do next, right? And I think that it's really easy, especially in the performative age that we're in, to lose that really personal sense of what it is that you actually believe. And it can take a long time to go through, draft and draft and draft that it aren't always super honest, because it's hard to write from the honest place the first time, right? Like writing is rewriting. And like through my book, the first draft was really glib and not emotionally resonant. The second draft was really angry and not warm and funny enough. And then 28 drafts later, what I tried to achieve was kind of what David Sedaris does, where he shows you all of this human folly and it's kind of fucked up shit, but he's making it really okay,
right?
And you're in that
exactly.
okayness with
you have permission
him.
to be a human being.
You have permission to be a human being.
I thought how you treated your mom in the book was incredibly sophisticated and mature and honest and complex, and I just really, really, really appreciated how you approached that.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy with.
Good.
Very happy with that. Very happy with that. Yeah, I mean, I was really worried that Thanksgivings were going to be awkward for the rest of my life. And I'm like, you just got to do it anyway.
Well, and you got her consent.
And I did get her consent.
Consent is a big part of this.
I mean, I got her consent. And I think that
Yeah.
speaks hugely to who she is.
Right.
That she was willing to give herself to the story.
Right.
Right. And I
trusted
think
you.
that that's one of the greatest gifts as, a documentary filmmaker, writer, is when you have people that are just willing to give themselves to the story and trust that you're going to treat that material with nuance and care.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kyle. This is great. As always. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you too. Anything people can do to support your work right now?
As always, follow along. I may give a Christmas goodie to people who are signed up for my newsletter, Row of Life. So I won't say more than that.
Okay.
But my newsletter is really easy. It's just my website, sorayasimi.com, and then just add your email. But I just feel compelled to give something away here soon. So, and yeah, keep eyes out for Endometriosis documentary June of next year. It will come out. So if you or someone you know, or guaranteed someone you know, have been dealing with this disease, feel free to reach out. We're building an army on the daily to really have this be like a cultural moment.
Okay.
So happy to hear anyone's stories and just get you as part of that community right now.
Okay. And people can reach out on your website.
Yeah, website, Instagram, all the usual spots.
Soraya Simi, you're a fucking great storyteller,
thanks,
and you have the habits and the discipline to just keep doing it forever and continue to get better and better. It's really nice
Thank you.
just to see someone who just like you're going to stay the course fundamentally and continue to improve and chase your interests, and it's really nice to know that like, oh cool, yeah, 15 years from now, like there's just going to be this incredible body of work that like we don't know what it is yet, but it's character is destiny.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, and I feel incredibly fortunate to find the thing I'm going to do till my last breath. I just am obsessed with it. I love it so much, and it's great. And I feel the same about your work. You're knocking it out of the park. I can't wait to read your next book.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay,
that's
Love
enough.
Fest over.
Bye.
Thanks.